Her name was Zetian, the only woman to ever claim the title of emperor in China. She wasn't born to rule. She began as a concubine, one among hundreds, a shadow in the palace, but shadows can learn the shape of power. She watched, she listened, she rose, through wit, through whispers, through ruthless precision. She became empress consort, then dowager, and then, in a move no woman had ever dared, emperor. Not behind the throne, on it. She rewrote the rules. She declared a new dynasty. She made history and enemies. Wu knew power in China was never clean, so she built a secret police. She turned poets into propagandists. She silenced rivals with ink and erased families with a single decree. Even her sons weren't safe. One was poisoned, another forced to abdicate. She ruled alone. She built temples to her glory. She wrote verses praising her wisdom. She declared herself the Bodhisattva of compassion, even as blood stained the palace stones. Zetian wasn't just a ruler. She was a storm wrapped in silk, a hand that wrote poems by day and signed death warrants by night. And tonight, we follow her deeper, into the corridors where whispers killed and into the chamber, where her greatest rival met a fate no scroll dared record. The palace was quiet. Lanterns glowed against lacquered walls. Perfume drifted through the air, masking the stench of fear. A rival had been summoned. She thought it was an audience with the empress. She thought it was her chance to plead her case. But Zetian never wasted words. The doors slid open. Inside, silence. No courtiers, no scribes, only shadows. From behind the curtains, figures emerged, silent, masked, not guards, not soldiers, but the shadows of Zetian herself, her will made flesh. At first, the rival tried to speak, a protest, a defense, but the words tangled in her throat as the men closed in. Hands gripped her arms. Her hair came loose, spilling like dark river water. Silk twisted into ropes around her body. She struggled, but the chamber drank her cries. No echo, no witness, no mercy. Then Zetian entered, not with anger, not with haste, but with the silence of a storm already decided. Her gaze was colder than carved jade. She did not shout. She did not curse. She simply lifted her hand, a flick of the fingers, and fate obeyed. The rival was dragged behind a curtain. The silk swallowed every sound, the gasps, the thrashing, the final silence. When the guards returned, their hands were spotless. The floor gleamed. The chamber smelled only of incense. Zetian sat. She dipped her brush in ink, and on fresh parchment she wrote, a poem of harmony, of balance, of heaven's eternal order. The empire would read her words. They would never know whose blood paid for them. The corridors fell quiet. The rivals were gone. The whispers ended. Zetian alone remained, the only woman in China's long history to bear the title of emperor, not behind the throne, not beside it, but as the throne itself. She declared a new dynasty, the Zhou, breaking the sacred Tang line. She filled her court with scholars who praised her, poets who glorified her, spies who feared her. Temples rose to her name. Stone steles carved her into eternity. She called herself the Holy and Divine Empress, chosen by heaven. Yet behind the incense and the verses, the empire remembered the blood. The chronicles whispered of purges without number. Not a handful, not a dozen, but dozens, perhaps even hundreds, struck down at her command. Ministers, nobles, concubines, even kin. Some erased with ink, others with poison, and many with blades carried out of sight. Her reign was brilliant and brutal. Borders expanded, bureaucracy strengthened. Doors opened to men outside the old noble clans, but terror reigned with her. Ministers vanished, princes died, Even her own sons became pawns. The court of Zetian was a theater of beauty and fear, where a smile could grant survival and a poem could become a death sentence. When she died in 705 AD, the Tang dynasty returned. Her name was etched in stone and then erased. Her dynasty struck from the records, her memory condemned to silence. But history could not erase her, because she had achieved the unthinkable. She bent an empire made for men and made it kneel. From the libraries where knowledge was burned, to the lecture halls where ideas were stabbed, to the palaces where crowns dripped with blood, we've seen the same truth across centuries, that power is never given, that voices are always feared, and that sometimes the sharpest assassins are not men with blades, but women with crowns. This was the red pages of history, where each episode reveals the moment a blade, a bullet, or a belief reshaped the fate of nations. Until next time, keep your eyes open, because history is never silent.